Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Simply Nerdy. I'm your host, Steven. I'm joined today by David and Anthony to talk and review Brandon Sanderson's Wind and Truth. So let us dive right into it.
Yeah, where do we stand?
Where do we stand, boys?
For me, I loved it. Very, very satisfying conclusion to this five-book arc. Just super satisfied with how everything ended up.
Which, by the way, this will contain spoilers, so you've been warned. But yes, I love it.
It was probably my favorite book in the series. And as a longtime Sander fan, I was very impressed by Sanderson's ability in this particular book to take the Sanderlanche, which usually happens in the last 50 pages of his books, and turn it into a 1,300-page experience.
Yeah.
I don't know how not every moment was as climactic as the one before it, but heavens to Betsy, the average intensity of the book was basically Sanderlanche level the whole time, and it was like, oh my gosh, not just in terms of like the everything that was going on, but also the revelations and the Cosmere connections and like holy lorddom Batman, and it was good stuff.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. Like, every moment was level 10. It was crazy. The Sanderlanche was almost the entire time, and I know there were some concerns about pacing issues with this book, but my goodness, I disagree with those opinions, but that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but my goodness, like, I loved the pacing of this book, and every chapter, every section was just like, oh my gosh. Freaking out the entire time.
Escalating revelations, right? Early on in the book, I remember thinking, and I might have said this to you guys in the chat, this is a book-long Sanderlanche, and that was long before I reached the biggest drops of craziness. A book-long Sanderlanche, and the criticisms of the pacing I don't really get. That doesn't even make sense to me. Like, it's a 1,300-page book that had almost never a dull moment. Like Anthony said, it does have some, varying levels of how crazy things are getting. There's almost never, and I've said it a lot of times to people talking about the book after reading it, there's almost never a dull moment. Like, that's a big deal for a 1,300-page plus book. Apparently, a lot of fans guessed that Shallan's mom was a herald. And that was one thing they saw coming from a long ways off. But it was a complete surprise for me.
I thought it was a cool revelation.
It was really cool.
I loved it.
Like, it just was like, oh, wow. And, a lot of her past makes more sense with that added context. And even if you think about it, the implications, right? They're saying that because Shallan ended up defending herself and killing her mom, she started the
desolation.
Yeah, she started it, right? Because her mom went to Braze and immediately broke. And right, the rule is only one of them needs to break for it the desolation to start. So my goodness, yet another burden on Shallan's conscience. In addition to having hurt her own, broken her oaths as a child and hurt her spren. And anyway, that was all a big surprise to me. Really cool way it was revealed.
For sure.
And the moment where she was thought she was in a vision with her mom. You remember?
Oh yeah.
And then it was actually real.
Yeah. That was make my hair stand up.
Yeah, that was insane.
It was well done. Well done.
Yes. It was powerful too. Very, very powerful. I didn't mind Shallan in this book either, may I just add.
Shallan used to bother me, but with the series reread, I kind of realized that the complexity of her character actually really works. I used to be bothered by her multiple personality disorder, but I realized, you know what? That's actually kind of part of the problem. If I'm annoyed by legitimate mental health problems, then aren't I kind of one of the ones helping create the issue, creating the stigma? I don't know. Anyway, I read it very differently this time through, and I was like, you know what? It would be hard not to react that way to basically finding out that, you killed your mother, and then you tried to force yourself to forget. And then you also found out that you started the desolation, the final desolation, the Night of Sorrows. And also, by the way, you had the worst childhood in the world. And yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? And I want to take a moment to kind of address that real quick. I realized that one of the strongest things of this series, and that I love so much about it, is it feels like a really genuine exploration of mental health struggles, like in real ones, like not just someone being like, I think this is how it would go. It's clear that Sanderson has done his research, and I think it's almost funny, when people say it's annoying, it's almost like they're proving that it's real, because I think that's the normal response of a person who doesn't understand mental health problems, to be like, well, just get over it. Like that's not how it works. Yeah. Anyway, he does a really good job throughout the series of exploring that, but I feel like Wind and Truth was his magnum opus when it comes to like representing different people's challenges and the ways that they overcame it. I loved how Kaladin basically becomes a therapist.
Yes, I was going to say, I loved every one of their chapters. Kaladin and Zeth are my favorite to read.
Yes. Zeth is probably my favorite backstory in the entire series. Like, it was so unique and interesting compared to what we got for the rest of them. But sorry to interrupt, Dan. Go ahead.
No. Yeah. So I really appreciated that. I loved how much they delved into the mental illness of the heralds, because they've got it worse than anyone. Thousands of years of torture, and what do you do with that? And at the same time, I loved how to this point in the series they'd represented them as kind of fallen heralds, which is understandable considering some of the circumstances. But I loved how they created a redemption arc for basically all of them. I mean,
yes.
First of all, the scene when Taln, basically goes and defends Aesir, and like you don't even get to see it, but the descriptions of the aftermath of his off-screen violence was hair-raising. You're like, oh my gosh, what the crap! And then I loved how Ash, she was like, this time I won't leave him alone, and then she joins, she goes back to Braze, and like that was cool. And then in the end, the way that Kaladin helps both Nale and Ishar, and then the way that all the heralds end up. Well, first of all, they find a way to make it so that they don't have to do this continued cycle of torment. They can separate their minds into some sort of realm that's disconnected from what's being done to them on Braze. Or I don't know how it works, but I thought that was really cool. And I just have to say, Kaladin as a herald. Oh my gosh! Can we get an idea? What the crap? Like,
I know Kaladin.
That would have been a pretty cool herald too. But I was like, oh my gosh, it's Kaladin.
Herald of Flames. And the fact that they made another oath pact. That I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And either with the Stormlight disappearing and all that jazz, like that was nuts.
Okay.
Then having to protect the Spren with the Oath Pact. Yeah, go ahead, Ant.
We do have to talk about that for a moment. I knew to expect a tragic conclusion because of, first of all, just the fact that we have a break in between, and if you follow the timelines of Brandon Sanderson's cosmology, then you know that Mistborn Era 2 takes place in that time gap. Era 1 and Era 2 of Stormlight, yes. So in Era 2 of Mistborn, we see that there's some things that look like there's some dangers on a cosmological level. And so in my head, just seeing that even before we got maybe even Rhythm of War, I was like, shoot, this isn't going to go well, is it? The book 5 is going to have, kind of a bad ending because it seems like Odium must have escaped somehow if things on Scadrial are as bad as they are, kind of thing. Especially when Harmony shows Wax that vision of the malevolent force trying to attack the planet, kind of thing. So I was like, I was expecting it. But the funny thing was, I did not expect it to be quite so severe as it ended up being, and at the same time quite as hopeful. I don't know how he did it.
Yes.
It was more severe and more hopeful than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that was interesting. Incredible. Like it went horribly, but in a way that left hope. I don't know. It was amazing. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody accomplish that before.
And I love how we got to see that realization through wit. So he's like, oh, this Dalinar's such an idiot. Like, what's the crap? And then he started thinking about it. He's like, oh, he's a genius. And you're like, oh. Anyway, I thought it was cool. Sorry.
I think he consulted with the dragons and they helped him realize, right?
Yes. He did consult with the dragons.
It was interesting to get an insight in what Hoyd has been trying to do for a long time, right? I think his goal has been to contain Odium, right? That's like he's like, it's okay if the problem stays here and the rest of the Cosmere is safe, right? And that's his mindset at the end. At first, he's like, "Oh no, I've failed. I wanted them to have this contest or whatever, and Odium has to stay here longer." Yeah.
Dang it, Dalinar. Just kidding.
But
what did you guys think of Dalinar? Out of curiosity, because Dalinar's journey was very different than what I thought it was going to be. Basically, just exploring the spiritual realm the whole time.
But getting so much
and all the
lore.
revelations that he got. Yes, exactly. He expanded so much lore on Shoshar and the Stormfather himself and Honor. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, honestly, Dalinar and Navani's chapters were my favorites because I was sitting there like, yes, oh my gosh, he's going to show the arrival. He's going to show the arrival,
yes.
And then the recreants and then everything. I was like, give it to me, so that the chapter when they first got there and they saw, the moment that they came through the portal, I was just sitting there salivating like, anyway, you don't keep that part up.
Soaking in every word.
I loved it. I was having a lot of fun. So,
yeah, it didn't bother me whatsoever that they were in there that long because I was getting so much lore that I was like, I don't even care. Bring it on. And I love how he handled it. How he used that knowledge in the end to make the decision that he did was incredible.
I'm going to agree that I loved Dalinar's journey, his character arc, and, felt some sadness at his ending, but also felt pride in what he accomplished, like who he became and the decisions he made. There would be too much plot armor if nobody died from what happened, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of makes sense that he didn't survive, considering what he took on.
Well, especially after giving up the power of honor. I mean, like, well, you're done now.
we have two Cosmere beings now that hold two shards.
And unfortunately, Retribution is far more dangerous than Harmony because his powers are not in direct opposition.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah. I thought that Dalinar was going to become honor and stay that way, but through some sort of contest that Odium would still be able to get free, and then Dalinar would continue as honor to try and counteract it. And so when he gives it up, which again the book sorry, it makes clear like there was a very careful genius to that. Still, I was just like, oh my gosh. Well, Retribution, I mean, that's kind of a cool name, but also that's it's frightening. But then just the repercussions, that's the part that shocked me. Like, no Stormlight, there's no investiture, at least not for people who oppose Retribution, except for the ones in the tower who are there by the sibling in Navani.
And there's the unoathed who have accent to
True.
That is the thing I was gonna say. That the unoathed seem like the new world power as far as like the new form of investiture.
Mm-hmm.
They can't use surges, but they seem like I don't know, like they don't need Stormlight to power their shards.
Right.
That seems like an incredible advantage, especially compared to the way that it used to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus the idea that Spren can become unoathed. When Notum did that, at first I was like, wait, he's making a point of trying to point out that there's more than there should be. Who could it be? And then when it was like, when it was Notum, I was like, what the crap? Spren can do that. Wow.
Yeah.
So he's basically taken this world that he's spent the last 5 books and a decade and a half establishing, and just said, and now we're gonna throw it out the window.
Yeah.
And, no more.
Right?
The magic system you knew is gone.
Can I say that's an underrated thing I loved about the book? Something I've always, as a Sander fan, have enjoyed was discovering a new magic system for the first time. Like you'd read Elantris and then Mistborn and then Stormlight, and the first time you read them, the characters are learning the magic for the first time. They don't know how it works. Part of the Sanderlanche is realizing how to use it, And so just the mystery and the discovery of the magic system for the first time is something that I've always really enjoyed. And I felt that, that dissipating as we continued with series. Like Mistborn Era 2, there was less of that mystery. It still had some unique things to it that they could discover. But in this book, I realized, it isn't a static thing. This magic isn't a given. It can change dramatically. and then
dramatically.
Yeah, and it did. And now we're kind of going back into that mystery. How we're going to use this change,
And there was a couple things that he actually kind of had us be, taking for granted, that all of a sudden he just kind of pulled out from under our feet. Like, for example, as represented by Adolin's, perfectly reasonable expectation that he would get his leg back, and then, investiture doesn't work anymore. Cool.
I'm really sad about him. I loved him in this book, and his arc was incredible too. Mm-hmm. Just the whole fact that I want to forgive my father, make amends that way, but also, his journey was so cool.
Yeah, well, and it seems like he's found a way to still be pretty capable. His armor knows what to do.
Yeah,
sick. It's so cool.
Adolin's
so
story
cool.
Was. I don't know. We keep saying different characters were our favorite, but I loved Adolin's story. And he became in most of the series for me. He was kind of a side character, and suddenly he became like one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people have liked him all along, and I thought he was great, but he didn't feel like a leading character to me until this book. And I was amazed by his journey, and I felt some loss for him. Not only does Stormlight not work anymore, but there's that thing where if you get too used to an injury, then it's harder to heal, right?
That's true.
I'm imagining that we just have to expect he probably won't get his leg back, right? I mean, if Stormlight comes back, it might just have been too long. He's gotten too much time to just have it be a part of him. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
At the same time, it does make you wonder, though, like how much could the landscape of the Cosmere have changed by the time we get to book 6? Like, who knows? What if they are, they are working with people on Scadrial, and someone gives them a little pop of Laurasium, and boom, now you're a Mistborn. Like,
yeah,
who knows?
Exactly right.
We know that Mistborn Era 3 is ghostbloods. It's about the ghostbloods. And who's to say that Shallan will not be a part of that?
Yep, I bet she will.
Because,
to be honest,
she's already had plenty of involvement in that. She's trapped in Shadesmar. We know that Sigzil was able to leave Roshar via Shadesmar. Shallan's not just going to sit there twiddling her thumbs.
Plus, the last thing she does is contact Thydakar. So
that conversation was awesome.
So it's gotta be. Thydakar, the leader of the Ghostbloods, and Shallan making contact. It's gotta be. The idea that major characters from one series could become major characters of a completely different series that's getting exciting to me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, yeah, be aware that we know some of our fans have not read the Secret Projects yet. So, if you're watching this expecting just Stormlight 5 spoilers, here's some spoilers for Secret Projects, probably.
Secret Project spoilers coming right now. They're probably gone. Okay, Sigzil. Oh my gosh! Like, Moash did not play a huge part in this book, like I thought he was going to. But when I mean, I thought it was a possibility that he could get spiked, that his eyes could be spiked and he could see Investiture that way. But then it happened, and then he went after Zigzil, and I was like, oh my gosh! And then Zigzil denounced his oaths to save his friend, and it was totally set up for the Sunlit Man.
Yeah.
The whole Sunlit Man journey started, and then Wit approached him later, was like, yo, here's this thing I need you to protect. Here you go, take it, run. And then
I did not expect him to end up as a Dawn Shard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I was like, oh my gosh.
Is
Like,
it
there
that?
it was.
It is hinted at in Sunlit Man, right? That Wit gave him something, and he has to deal with that weird rule where you have some torment there. You know, where like I don't think we found out what Hoyd's was.
Do we even know that it's tied into the Dawn Shard? I don't
know if
that
it
we
is
know
tied
that.
into the Dawn Shard.
Because if you think about
I think
it,
it was-
you know, we've seen cases where Wit has some weird curses, and there's nothing to suggest that it's due to the Dawn Shard.
Yeah.
No.
It's crazy. Sigzil's going to have an important role. It's clear in the future.
Yes.
Vladimir.
Yes.
Unfortunately, people know he has this Dawn Shard, and that's why they're chasing him. That was the advantage Wit had, is that people didn't know he still had it, right? Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I loved
Yeah,
his journey as well.
I was just going to say he's definitely set up for some very exciting, very expansive, new stories. I feel like the Cosmere just keeps on expanding, and somehow, he keeps on. I don't know. He keeps on making it work. I'm excited for what's next. So
Yeah.
I'll just. This is the last thing I'll say. The book is tragic. And I'm very sad that it's going to be several years before we get another Stormlight book, although the Ghostbloods era will probably help with that. But I was really, really impressed. I don't know if the people who were disappointed and gave it, not good reviews were just like, that's not the ending I wanted. I don't know. I feel like conclusions, are always more divisive. I thought it was spectacular, and I'm very pleased. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
I was so pleased with the ideas of the book, especially. Like Sanderson's ideas are always amazing to me. That's something that I loved about the book, was this theme of redemption, right?
Yes.
And that people, you don't throw away people, even the heralds, right? Who we assumed were just fallen heralds. They still have a role to play. You don't throw them away. And now they have a way to heal. So this,
Yes.
and instead of seeing them as fallen heralds, as we started to see them, these are frontline soldiers who have been destroyed. Like PTSD, broken. These are veterans, and they deserve this chance for healing, for redemption. And I thought that was a beautiful theme of the story. I'll give it a 9.5. And maybe not perfect in every way, but very satisfied.
So the book is Mary Poppins. Practically perfect in every way.
Practically, exactly. Because I would give it a 10. And because I'm giving it a 10, we give it, the official Simply Nerdy score will be a 9.8. Practically perfect in every way. So yeah, this book was so good, you guys.
Good to be a Sander fan.
Yes.
It really is. Really is. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and ring the notification bell so you know when another Brandon Sanderson related topic video pops up, because it happens a lot around here. If you have not already, check out our Mistborn, the deck building game guides that we threw up, as well as our review for that. And that was awesome. I'm broken.
We gotta leave it.
I'm gonna compose myself. And until next time, guys,
Keep it nerdy.
Keep it nerdy.